Origin Jensen reaction, and this is History Summarized Pope Fights. The medieval Catholic Church was an interesting place, to put it lightly. Sometimes there was more than one pope at a time. Sometimes they fought each other for power. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Pope Fights, the most absurd chapter in all of our Catholicism. Yeah. This is by the channel Holy Sarcastic Production. This is history video, Pope Fight. So this is gonna be, popes, usually people think that, popes are just these religious figures. All this, whoever doesn't know history about things usually just thinks like Pope is just a leader of Catholic Church. Hell, I didn't even know that Christianity had so many different type of Protestants and Catholics. So I always thought all Christians' head is some Pope or something. But apparently that's not the case. I still haven't reacted to some videos like that, so I'm unclear on things like that about all the different division of Christianity. But yeah, as far as Catholicism goes, the Pope was more of a, just like, king type thing, right? At certain points, Pope had more power than lots of kings. Pope was basically, electing kings and something like that, choosing kings. Because everybody needs, blessing of the gods, and Pope is the right man of God, or something like that. So, and that's why, I guess Henry VIII didn't like what, Pope was doing or what Pope was saying. So he created, English church or something like that, whatever it's called. So yeah. So it's just ridiculous. I mean, they did fought over each other for power. People don't realize. People think that, they are, peaceful, just religious figures. But no, there was power grab at the time. So yeah, it's going to be a fun video. I wrote quite a few Holy Sarcastic Production videos already. If you haven't seen them, check out the cards. There's a playlist I created for it. Holy Sarcastic Production reactions, something like that. I upload lots of videos in 24 hours. So you might have missed lots of videos. So check out the playlist. It's all there. Check out the playlist too, like, Kasgaza, Nutshell, CGB Grey, Internet Historian, Tier Zoo, and yeah, let's watch this one.
When you look at a pope like our boy Francis, you might reasonably think that being a good person is a prerequisite for being the holiest guy in Christendom. You might imagine that the Pontifex Maximus would never be the type of person to leverage their divine responsibility for such earthly trifles as material gain or political expediency. Well, to that, I say that you have clearly never seen a good old-fashioned pope fight. Pope fight?
Yeah, this current pope is considered to be more of a chill and good pope, right? Everybody thinks he's just chill, he's just more nicer or something like that, because pope before him was called Nazi pope or something like that. Why was he called that? Was he actually Nazi at one time, or just his ideas are like that? I don't know.
Yes, pope fight. So, for the next 9 minutes, allow me to take you back in time, to a simpler time, when the Western Roman Empire had disintegrated and the land around the city of Rome itself was governed by the only guy in town who had any semblance of power: the Pope. For over 1,000 years, the Papal States ruled over the center of Italy while overseeing the religious life of all of Europe. While today's Pope is almost solely a spiritual leader, the medieval popes were functionally kings, and boy, did they act like it. With the stage set, let's go down to the ring for tonight's first Pope fight! In one corner, he's lean, he's mean, he's 20 years old and became Pope through bribery and nepotism, it's Benedict IX! And in the other corner we have... Wait a minute. Why are there 3 popes here? Who approved this schedule? You know what? Okay, whatever. So, Benedict here didn't actually care about doing all of that complicated Jesus stuff, and he used the office to enrich his already monstrously wealthy family. 8 years later, and the cardinals decided that they didn't want a greedy toddler for a leader, and they got him out of office the same way that he got in. Bribery. A priest named Giovanni fought gangster with gangster and made Benedict an offer that he couldn't refuse. Basically, Benedict sold the papacy, and Giovanni became Pope Sylvester III. Okay, so that's a pretty sacrilegious thing to do, but at least we're done.
So, a guy basically bribed his way into becoming a pope. He didn't know what to do, he didn't want to do anything popey stuff. He just, used that power to get rich, I guess, and then he literally sold it to some other guy called Sylvester. Damn.
Right? No. Time for round 2. So, 3 brief months later, Benedict decided that he wanted to be Pope again because he had so much fun defrauding the people of Rome the first time, so he marched an army into the city and declared himself as Pope again. But then, just a month after he handed the cardinals a fresh new succession crisis, Benedict decided that he wanted out, again, so he could get married. His godfather became Pope Gregory VI, and that's it? No? Okay, round 3. Seems like beating dead horses was another one of Benedict's hobbies in addition to wholesale corruption. So, Benedict's wife-to-be noped right on out of there, and he decided that he wanted to be Pope again. Meanwhile, poor Sylvester is
What is this shit? He became Pope, then went away, then like, screw it, I want to be Pope again. It's like, you know what, I want to get married, I don't want to be Pope. And then he comes back again, I want to be Pope. How can he just do that? I mean, you know, why are people going, screw you, you're not Pope anymore, I don't care what you say. I mean, you know, all the cardinals, whatever, they need to approve, right? Otherwise, you can't just become Pope like that. So this is just weird, man. And this, you know, I said that at the time, Pope, being a Pope was more like a king type thing. It had power. But this feels more like a, you know, political office or something. He's like running for prime minister or something, because this really feels similar. He just bribes his way in, don't know what to do, you know, uses corruption to get rich, goes away, comes back and shit like that.
Still out there sulking in the hills, so there are 3 people claiming to be Pope at once. To settle the matter, the Holy Roman Emperor, that is to say the German Emperor, rode into town and held a council, where he found Sylvester to have no legitimate claim, Benedict to not even slightly be worthy of being Pope, and Gregory guilty of simony. All 3 were tossed out, and a German bishop became Pope Clement II. But wait, there's more! A year later, Clement II died, and who else but Benedict came strolling back to the Vatican for term number 3. 6 months later, however, the Holy Roman Emperor had just about had enough of the antics, so he swiftly excommunicated and exiled Benedict for good. One cardinal called him a demon from hell in disguise as a priest, which is pretty hardcore, especially for a priest. But honestly, to me, the most shocking part is that he didn't try for a 4th time. Benedict definitely qualifies as a meme pope, words I never imagined saying back to back. Given this colossal mess, it might be little surprise that the Greek Orthodox Church of the Byzantine Empire broke off from Catholicism for good just 6 years later. Well, there you have it, folks. The final score for our first pope fight is Benedict.
So, you know, Byzantine Empire broke off from Catholic Church because of this shit? Because I wouldn't blame them. All the things that are happening. Come on, man.
3, sticking to a decision for more than 20 minutes? 0. Okay, but now we're done, right? Oh boy, check the timestamp, kiddo. We're just getting started over here. So, let's move on to our next Pope fight this evening, and there's no one here. Well, see, to avoid the bribes, murders, and nepotism that had plagued the papacy for a few centuries in general, and the past few years in particular, they developed what we now know as the papal conclave, where popes are elected by secret ballot to ensure a peaceful transition of divine authority through what in theory would be a just and capable line of popes. So this worked out pretty well for a couple centuries.
Also, first I said where was all the cardinals who need to approve. That wasn't a thing at the time. Now it becomes a thing, huh? But still, you know, all the people in power would be like, you know, you can't just come back and claim that you're a pope. I mean, being a pope cannot be like a king, like, you know, I have a claim to the throne or something like that. So, yeah.
But in 1292, 2 warring factions of cardinals drew out the conclave from the usual couple weeks to 2 entire years. For 2 years, the Papal States were without its ruler and Rome was a mess. In the confusion, a hermit monk wrote to the conclave, warning the cardinals that the almighty hand of God would dope smack the eternal salvation out of them if they kept screwing around all decade long. And, as it happened, the cardinals were so impressed that they elected him pope, marking possibly the only instance in which anyone was hired by telling their interviewers to go to hell. Yeah. I mean, hey, if it works, it works. So this monk becomes Pope Celestine V, and he proceeds to do nothing. Yeah, honestly, he was kind of a stooge. The only thing he ever really did in his first 5 months was help out the French allied king of Naples by appointing his mooks to church positions. Oh yeah, did I say first 5 months? I meant only 5 months. When it became unavoidably clear that the ascetic monk that had no relevant experience in running a complex bureaucracy wasn't good at his job, he went to the cardinals. And they said, "What is your first decree?" He said, "I want to be allowed to quit."
I mean, he did tell them to, you know, go screw themselves. He's a monk. He doesn't know how to be a pope. He doesn't care. So, you know, this is like one of those things, you know, how Hollywood, you know, always say, you have something that I can put my finger on. You kid have something. You know what? I'm going to give you the chance. And somebody who has no experience or doesn't even know how to do it, you know, gets lucky or something, that kind of shit. Yeah, that's all fine in movies, but in reality, if you do that, that's just disaster which happened here. He didn't care about anything. He didn't know how to run things. And surprisingly, he didn't run things. Who would have seen that coming?
All right, what's your second decree? I quit. Honestly, it makes sense. He never even wanted to be pope in the first place. He just wanted somebody to be pope to end the deadlock. But be careful what you wish for, because Boniface VIII became the next pope, and he wasted absolutely no time throwing Celestine in jail. Reason being that no one had ever voluntarily abdicated the papacy like that before, and Boniface had reason to believe that someone or another would challenge his authority and try to install Celestine back in as an anti-pope to oppose him. So the obvious solution was
because the guy, before, constantly was going away and coming back and just claiming to be pope. So that is already history of that happening. So, they can't take chances. They're scary. I mean, the last pope retired, right? I mean, it won't happen today, but usually popes don't retire. They stay pope until they die, but the last pope retired.
Cut out the middleman and just toss Celestine in prison. Boniface then proceeded to undo all 0 of Celestine's actions. He mainly just cleared away his appointees and left only the very small clause about popes being able to retire. Whether Celestine died of straight-up murder or just the fact that he was 81 years old and in prison, Boniface basically sentenced Celestine to death. Although honestly, when faced with the choice of being dead versus being pope, I'm pretty sure Celestine got what he would have preferred.
Yeah.
Being pope is work. And at the end of the round, its responsibilities: 1, wanting to just go home and take a nap; 0. But who's this entering from the north? It's King Philip IV of France, and he's not happy, folks. In fact, Boniface and Philip feuded privately and publicly for years. At one point, Boniface wrote him a letter that literally opens with "Listen, son," which is the respectful papal way to say, alright, looky here, dumbass, you're way out of your league, and if you don't shape up real soon, I'm gonna excommunicate your sinful ass so hard you'll wish I only imprisoned and maybe murdered you. So anyway, Philip IV carried on exactly as he had before, and when Boniface prepared an order of excommunication against the king, he sent French thugs to assault him, the Pope, in his own hometown, and he died within 2 weeks. Philip ordered a hit.
I mean, look, that's a king. A literal king. I mean, kings do have power and influences and resources. I mean, I get it, you're pope, but still, you shouldn't insult a king like that. Listen, son, I mean, just chill out. He can do things. And he did. They sent thugs to kill him, and he died. I mean, chill out, man. Never insult a king. Come on.
On the Pope. The gall! Pope murderer Philip then manipulated the papal conclave to elect Clement V as the new pro-France pope. At the end of the second period, that's French king who's way outside of their lane 1, murder Pope 0. And speaking of, that brings us to our sponsor for today's video, Pope 0. Same divine taste, 0 calories. Now back to the fight. It's after Clement steps into the Pope fight that things get even weirder. Philip, still high on his victory and ballsier than ever, decided to test his luck and yoinked the entire papacy itself out of Rome, out of Italy even, and moved it into Avignon, France. Starting with Clement, the Catholic Church operated in France under the authority of the French king for 68 years.
68 years. But this is gonna piss off a lot of people. It can't last time. But 68 years, damn. So for 68 years. Near 7 decades. Papacy was in France, not in Rome. That is something.
Mind you, that whole time, the literal papal states were popeless. After almost 1 metric human lifetime of lavish living in the pocket of the French crown, Pope Urban V and his successor Gregory XI fought bitterly against the College of Cardinals to restore the papacy to Rome. The cardinals at this point had nicely settled into eating 10-course meals while everyone else in Europe was actively dying of plague. Because that's a thing now, not that they would have known that being cooped up in the purpose-built Palace of Avignon all century. But anyway, that's okay now because Gregory moved the papacy back to Rome, and even though it's definitely worse for wear after 70 years of functionally no government, the church set about restoration projects to fix stuff. Now,
yeah. What if they just went back there and wherever the papacy buildings and everything used to be, they built a park there? I'm like, yeah, you people left and we didn't know when you were going to come back or if you were going to come back, so we built a park here. After 70 years of neglect and only 30 years since the plague first hit, Rome was at its lowest population since the Punic Wars. Damn. It was really only after the papacy came back and the media restoration projects started happening, Rome regained its grandeur and began to take artful resonance from Renaissance from that we see today. Okay.
Now that was all well and good, but Gregory's successor, Urban VI, turned out to be well, kind of insane. As soon as he became pope, he started locking up his opponents. You know, like a fascist. This was awkward because most of the cardinals were still French, so the obvious strategy for the half of the church leadership that didn't like Urban for obvious reasons was just to run off to France and elect Clement VII as their pope. Their argument was that the new Roman popes were an illegitimate offshoot of their rightful Avignon line. The Roman cardinals believed that independent of Urban VI's personal qualities, he was the rightfully selected pope. And at the end of round 4, our score is real Pope 1, faux Pope 1, but in French. So we've had popes retire to make way for new popes, we've had former popes contesting with current popes, we've even had murder popes and pope murderers, but now Christianity saw 2 entirely separate papacies in Italy and France, each believing that the other was a one-stop shop for every lawless heretic on earth. At this point, St. Peter's probably thinking, guys, what the hell? But Jesus is just omnisciently snacking on popcorn, loving every single minute of the drama. This, ladies and gentlemen, is no
love thy neighbor. I mean, yeah, when you became, when you made papacy and pope crucial part of, I guess, kingdoms and decision and who should be excommunicated or not, who should be king or not, and you made it more political. So of course it's gonna have political issues like that, fights, backstabbing. Somebody say you're not the real pope, I'm the real pope. This is ridiculous, man.
Ordinary pope fight. No. This was a full-on pope war. 2 entire papacies competed for nearly 40 years, branding the other as anti-popes. Needless to say, it didn't reflect especially well on the church when a pope is condemned as a heretic by a different pope. This went on for a while, and neither side budged, as you can imagine, but finally, cardinals from both sides met in an attempt to reconcile and succeeded in electing another anti-pope. I lost count of the rounds of this pope fight a while ago, but this is honestly getting ridiculous. The mess was mercifully concluded at the 4-year-long Council of Constance, where the second anti-pope was deposed, the Avignon anti-pope had his claim dismissed, the Roman actual pope resigned, and a new pope, Martin V, was elected by the combined council, and now we're done. Well, there were a few anti-popes tooling around for another couple decades, but nobody cared and it wasn't a problem. As far as European Christians were concerned, the seat of the church was permanently re-established in Rome, and all of the popes between then and 2013 served for life, the way God intended. That was the year Benedict XVI became the first pope in almost 600 years to voluntarily resign, and thankfully he did so without an accompanying pope fight. And let's take one last look at the scoreboard, folks. At the end of the 5th and final round for the evening...
It could still happen. I mean, he's alive, right? Wait a minute, is he alive? I don't know. If he's alive, it could still happen. He could still just, come back, screw it, I'm the Pope again.
Its lasting dignity of the medieval Catholic Church, -7, that's 1 for each succession crisis, and meme capacity of the medieval Catholic Church, maximal. Whew, that's gotta hurt. All told, though the fighting did stop, papal mischief in general continued in various forms for another century. Between the moral depravity of the Borgia Pope Alexander VI, the Medici murder conspiracy abetting...
What did he say?
Between the moral depravity...
He's exaggerating Assassin's Creed bonus, the only slightly...
...of the Borgia Pope Alexander VI, the Medici murder conspiracy...
He was like that, huh?
Abetting Pope Sixtus IV, and a lot of indulgences being sold to finance the Renaissance reconstruction of Rome, serving as the final nail in a solid gold coffin 5 centuries in the making. It may be little surprise that Martin Luther famously said, quote, "Screw this, screw the church, I'll do it myself, don't at me." Harsh words. But still, as far as the complete abandonment of spiritual responsibility for material luxuries goes, you just can't beat a good pope fight. Finally, and this is basically irrelevant, but it is deeply important to me that you're aware Pope Francis has a rock album. Yes, the Pope has a rock album.
You kidding me?
Other Pope Zero, Pope Francis Infinity.
Yeah, seriously. Pope Francis like, I won. Man, he has an album. This is ridiculous. That's why people love him, right? He's so this generation Pope, I guess. Damn, this was good, man. Pope fights, I mean, I kind of seen this coming because I know how, being a pope especially in the medieval time was more political because, lots of pope literally, changed kings in a way or not, excommunicated people, and that was a big thing. So obviously lots of political things are going to get there because being a pope is a really powerful thing. So people are like, screw it, I'm pope. He's like, I'm pope. Yeah, obviously. And that first guy, man. 3 times he went away, came back, and even tried the 4th time where, the German people like, screw you, get out of here. That was the thing. Alright, people, if you like my reaction, don't forget to like and subscribe. Check out the reaction. There's a link in the description. Check out the cast with the playlist, like, only Sarcastic production. Usually around this time when I'm uploading this video, I started to react to history videos from this channel, and I upload mythological videos, I guess, 6 hours after this video. I don't know if you're watching in USA, it would be different time, UK different time. So after 6 hours after this, I'm gonna react to mythological videos. So yeah, I started to react to 2 videos in 24 hours. So check out the playlist. You might have missed some of them. Yeah, check out the playlist like CGP Gray, and I'll see you next time.